been a while since I was in band. That would be it.
All right, it's 7 o'clock. I'd like to call the meeting to order. I'd like everyone to please rise and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Kelly, would you call the roll, please?
Jim Conduct.
Here.
Steve Nelson.
Here.
James Shiloh.
Here.
Julian Davey. Here. Michael DeVito.
Here.
Eric Jones. Kristen Run.
Here.
The quorum is present.
Are there any changes to the agenda as proposed? Is there a motion to adopt the agenda as proposed?
So moved.
Second. Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded. Roll call.
Nelson.
Yes.
Run.
Yes.
Shiloh.
Yes.
Davey. Yes. DeVito.
Yes.
Donda.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Audience to visitors. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to address the board this evening on any issue? Okay. Moving on then to communications, correspondence, informational items, letters and newsletters from MUDA and IASB. FOIA requests. One FOIA request, asked and answered. That was not too difficult of a figure out the answer. Suspension reports. It's springtime.
Yes, it is.
Even though the weather's cool, it's still, that doesn't help, huh, Jim? Committee reports.
Committee report. We did have an SEF meeting fairly recently. I think it was a week ago Monday. Yeah. Right? A week ago yesterday. The last grant meeting of the year. My last SEF meeting also. And we did have 3 grants that were put forward. They were all 3 fully funded. About $14,000 in total, I believe it was. So that completes the cycle. There is still a little bit of money left. So they've got seed money for Take Root and things like that. They are going to have a different venue for Take Root this year. They're just changing it up. It's been at the Work Farm for a little while now, so just changing it up for a little bit. And then I believe it's the Kishwaukee Country Club. Yeah. So just something different, and then we'll see what goes on from there, different theme. So all excited about what's happening there. Some good things that Rachel's been doing and the board's been doing. So it's my last SEF board report, and we gave it a lot of money. Yeah.
Other committee reports?
We had a sports boosters meeting this past Sunday. There's a change of the board. We recognized the spring sports teams, which was very nice. To no surprise, the Spartans are really doing well. It's amazing. And I believe this is the first year for a male tennis team, and they're doing really, really well too. Which, you know, for the first year group, I believe that's the helm of one of the Mageri, so he's doing amazing, and so are all good reports from them. The other big thing was them discussing establishing a perpetual fund for some maintenance related to the sign. So they're looking at how they're going to allocate their funds to maybe keep up with those expenses. Nothing in firm hands yet, but the new board is considering those options.
Other committee reports? Well, we're at that portion of the meeting where we're about to reorganize and say farewell to some of our departing board members and welcome some new board members. We're down to the last really 2 votes for the current board as it's constituted. And the first one is a vote to approve the canvass of votes conducted by the county clerks of DeKalb and Kane counties and declaration of winners. Is there a motion to approve that canvass?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Is that a roll call?
Don't know that it has to be, because it's just approval, it's not spending money or anything.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. There's one more motion left, but before we do that, we do have some recognition for our outgoing board members. And just wanted to say a few words of thanks and appreciation to those of you who will be leaving our service. Julene, I want to say thank you, and want to acknowledge the fact that you brought with you to the board the wit, the sensitivity, the understanding of a guidance counselor who's worked in the school system and who knows kind of the hearts and minds of the students. And you always spoke up for that. You always made that part of our life here as board members by bringing that to our attention. So we really want to thank you for that. Thank you for your years of service to the board and to the district as a whole. Not only did you teach here, but you came back and you served on the board as well. So I guess we owe you a double thanks for that effort. So on behalf of the Board of Education, I want to present you with a plaque for your service. You're welcome.
It's been a pleasure, actually, so thank you. It's been an unbelievable experience to get to be on both sides as an educator and then to be a board member, so I kind of got to see the whole spectrum of what goes on, and it's been a great joy working with these people that I consider my friends now, and I am leaving here with mixed emotions because I really, really enjoy hearing about the kids and what the teachers are doing, the staffs are doing. But it's time for new people, it's time for some new ideas, and thank you for your support, thank you for your positive comments, I really appreciate that, and I will miss you all. I'll miss Tuesday nights, but I got FBI clicked in, so I'm thank you.
Next, I'd like to say a few words about Chris Red, who I've had the pleasure of serving with for several terms now. And Chris, you come to us with the heart and soul of a business person in the community. So you brought that perspective to us as a board, and we always appreciated that. But even more importantly than that, I think, is the fact that you were so well connected within the community, and maybe this is because you are a business person in the community. You certainly were really deeply connected with your constituents and all of our constituents within the district. And you never hesitated to bring their concerns to us. I think you did that on a number of occasions and made us understand, I think, or helped us to understand just exactly what maybe the majority position was that was out there, so that we could do our job a bit better. And we'll miss that. We'll miss that perspective. We'll miss you. We'll miss your service. And thank you very much.
Thank you so much. So, 12 years ago, when I first ran for school board and was seated here, I attended an orientation meeting, and I went home that night with my head swimming with school district business. But one thing stuck with me that night, and I've held on to it all these years, and it was actually some advice that Jim gave me. He actually said, you may not always agree with every decision our board makes, but I hope when you leave the meeting you understand why we made it, and you have respect for that decision. And to be completely honest, I laid in bed that night and thought, oh, I'm not sure this gig is going to be a very good fit for me. But much to my surprise, it was. I really leaned into really listening to my former board members, trying to understand why they felt so passionate about whatever was up for a vote or whatever we were discussing. And I remember one night in particular, it was probably the first night that I didn't agree with the vote. I voted no. And I remember getting out into the hallway after the meeting was over and thinking, oh, I get it. I get why they thought that was so important, why they voted the way they did. And it was really a revelation for me. I never expected to feel like that about something I didn't agree with. With that said, I think that that was really a sign of a really effective, healthy school board. And we're really lucky to have that here because lots of school districts don't. And I think we all became really good at listening and questioning decisions and trying to gain more information and share that information with our fellow board members no matter what the topic was. And it made our board better. And it made us a really effective board. And that made it a pleasure. With that said, Jim, I'd be remiss not to thank you for your leadership. There were a lot of nights during the pandemic meetings that I wasn't sure I was going to show up except for you and your leadership during those meetings. I don't think people realize just how much you gave to this board, and it's been for many, many years, and I appreciate your commitment and your passion. Steve, I also wanted to tell you how much I appreciate the knowledge and the wisdom you shared with us, how you put our board out there regionally and at a state level. You gave immense amount of time to put our board in that picture, and I know just last week at our meeting about facilities, the information you shared, it's priceless, and it was really helpful. To the administrators, Nicole, you know, I think you're a rock star. I came into this position in a 3-year deficit reduction plan that lasted for the first 7 years of my board term. And when you came to the meeting and said, okay, now we're really going to do a 3-year deficit reduction plan, I actually took some notes that night, and one of them was like, wow, really? Still didn't buy into it, so that we achieved it, and achieved it in 3 years. I am so grateful, and I know our community is grateful to you, and I just would like to be more like you when I grow up. Nick and Steve, probably my biggest regret stepping off the board now is not to continue to work with you and get to know you now that we're really post-pandemic, and to really see the work that you're going to do for our schools. You're both just such caring, passionate people. It's really a bummer not to stick around and see what happens and only read about it in the papers. But was my favorite part of our meetings, much like Julene said, was the teachers and the students. Whether students were here talking about Spartan Senate or the Ag Academy, or we're at North Grove School and they were doing a skit, or teachers were here talking about things in their classroom, or opened their classrooms to me as if that wasn't a big deal and I could just step in and watch what was going on in their classrooms. It was what I loved. And certainly what we all should love and take away from serving on the board is that we always want to do what's best for the students in this district. And I know we all tried really hard to do that. So thank you.
Thank you. Very well said. This one's the hardest one for me. My one of a kind compadre, my wingman for many years, Steve Nelson.
How many years, Steve?
17. Not nearly as many as
True.
Well, it feels like it though. We've been through a lot together, and we don't always agree on what positions are, and but somehow we're able to always, I think, as you indicated, Chris, we're able to work through those, and it's something that our district has always been blessed with is that we have a board that can come to consensus. And that really is a benefit, I think, for the whole community, the whole district, for all the students, for all the parents, for all of our constituents. Because we really do work at it and we really do respect each other. And in the world that we live in, that's a very rare commodity. So it's a pleasure to serve on this board because we're able to treat each other with respect. And hopefully we serve to teach other people that and model that for other people when they see us acting together. But a person who I've grown to respect immensely over the years, a person who's made huge contributions to this district. Having an architect on the board is amazing. Yeah, there's good news and bad news. There always is with architects. I know. With attorneys, it's pretty consistently bad. But with architects, it's up and down. We've worked together for a lot of years, Steve. You've served the board for many, many years. You served the district for many, many years. You served the state of Illinois for many, many years. Something that our constituents and our people might not know is that you served for the Illinois Association of School Boards in a variety of different roles. Most recently serving on the committee for
History Commission?
The History Commission, and which was a statewide commission that required a lot of time, a lot of effort, and a lot of energy from you. But I don't know where you come up with it. I really don't. But somehow you find the time, you find the energy, and you certainly have the commitment to follow these things through. And so, we're going to miss all of you very, very much. It doesn't seem like enough to say thank you for your service, but it's what I have to offer at this point in time. That and this wonderful plaque, suitable for hanging next week.
Thank you very much.
So,
Well, I only have 24 pages to get through. I would echo everybody's comments. I would agree with everything that you've said as far as how this board operates and my tenure on it. I will miss the camaraderie of the board. I will miss working towards a common goal on a number of things, even when we didn't agree on things. And that's true of not only this board, but the other boards that going past that we've served on with different people.
right.
I think they've all been that way. I know we talk about Sycamore being a very unique place, which I believe that it is. I have, in my role, the opportunity to see a lot of boards, a lot of superintendents, a lot of administrators, a lot of board presidents, and I honestly can't say that I've seen one any better than ours. And that's not a pat on our backs as much as it is the community. And I've seen a lot of dysfunctional boards and a lot of grandstanding boards, and that our board has not been that, at least in the time that I've been on here. And I will miss that camaraderie of working together. I will miss, walking the buildings at the beginning of the school year and the end of the school year. I will miss some of the challenges that I know are coming down the road for the new board. I had visions of accomplishing some of those in the tenure that just won't happen. I have great respect for our administrators, both past and current. They all do a wonderful job. They all have a tough job. Nick, I think you have a bright leadership future. I hope it is all here in Sycamore, to be honest with you, if I want to be selfish. Nicole, I've learned a great deal from you going back to the days of Luke's tutoring for both of us, quite frankly. And learning that process, you've always been a great resource for me. You've always been able to provide information when I needed it and answer questions. Kelly had huge shoes to step into, and albeit our time together has been short, it's been very, very positive and productive and helpful. Miss the baked goods, as well as the welcoming smile and attitude that we always have. Baked goods do show up. Steve, I think you've been done. You came into an extremely difficult situation, being hired pre-pandemic, and having to start or initiate your workload in the midst of an unknown pandemic. And there were a lot of challenges that we all faced, none greater than leading a school district, I don't think, at that point. And that goes for everyone from the custodians and the teachers and the bus drivers all the way through. And it was a very difficult time for everybody, but I just hope the community continues to take a positive approach now that we're quote-unquote past that. And now we can do the real work that we all really wanted to do and move things forward. So I appreciate and respect all of your leadership. True of all the board members here. We have young board members that have some experience now. We have new board members joining us. It's on you to carry this forward. Work with the sage and master, Yoda here, to give you guidance. And I've appreciated the input from all of you, your empathy and your connection to people. I did not get near the calls and emails that I'm sure you got. And I appreciate that you took those. The fact that you have that teacher-educator perspective was also very helpful. Gave me a different perspective on things that I maybe didn't look at all the time. Youthful exuberance that Michael has, and the willingness, the curiosity to, I may not know the answer to this, but I want to know the answer to this. James has very level-headed approach to things, steady, inquisitive, tell me exactly why we're doing this. So I appreciate all of that. Eric has also the same business sense and big picture look, not able to be with us here tonight. Appreciate all our previous board members. I wish you all the best going forward, and I know Sycamore will continue to be a leader in K-12 education in our region. So thank you all for your
Thank you. So as we prepare to take our final vote, as we're currently assembled here, I just wanted to say to those of you who are going to be leading us, one of the things that I always have thought about is wanting to know that when I leave, that I've left the board and the district in better shape than when I came. And I think that all three of you can say that, and I think you can hold your heads up proudly and take credit for that, and wear it well throughout your journeys as you go ahead. We wish you the best. We hope you won't be strangers, but if you are, we understand. So thank you once again for your service. And at this time, I would accept a motion to adjourn the old board sine die. Been seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. So we'll turn the meeting over to the President Pro Tem, who will be our superintendent. You should take your name plates.
Oh, really?
Yeah, take your name plates.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, stranger. You bet.
That's a tradition.
Thank you.
Yes, I know you got always those words, but.
Yeah.
Well, I don't have to say it, but.
I know.
I'll see you in church. Yes.
Yeah, that's the church. Thank you for everything. Thank you.
I'll miss you, kid.
Take care.
Take care.
Oh, that helped. This is very hard. Thank you. Yeah.
Good luck, you two.
Thanks.
Thank you.
guess as President Pro Tem, I'd like to call the reorganization of the board portion of the meeting to order. Kelly, would you call the roll, please?
Jim Dombeck,
Here?
James Shiloh,
Present.
Michael DeVito,
Here.
Beth Marie Evans,
Here.
Alex Grados,
Here.
Eric Jones, quorum is present.
So at this time, we'd like to welcome Alex and Beth as newly elected members of the Board of Education to take the oath of office. So Kelly is going to help with that. Is it over there? Unless you have this memorized, which I'm guessing that you don't. We've got copies that you can read along. I'll ask you to read along, and I'll help you with that, and then we'll proceed with election of officers. So, I'll ask you both to stand. We'll read through this. This is Beth's, and then before the end of the night, I'd like you to sign that.
Okay.
But we'll take the oath first, all right?
Okay, sounds good.
And I'm going to step out of the way.
So one at a time, or?
So we'll read through these together. Why don't you guys do the first paragraph, and then we'll go bullet by bullet after that.
Okay. I, Beth Marie Evans,
Do solemnly affirm
that I will
together, or I'm
faithfully.
not
Yeah, you
understanding.
go together.
Oh,
yeah.
sorry,
Go ahead.
let's just-
That's all right.
Okay.
Let's start that again, just to make sure we get it right.
Okay.
I, Beth Marie Evans,
Do solemnly affirm that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of member of the Board of Education of Sycamore Community Unit School District Number 427, in accordance with the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of Illinois, and the laws of the State of Illinois, to the best of my ability.
You're doing really good, so just keep rolling.
I further affirm that I shall respect the taxpayer interest by serving as a faithful protector of the school district's assets. I shall encourage and respect the free expression of my opinion by my fellow board members and others who seek a hearing before the board while respecting the privacy of students and employees. I shall recognize that a board member has no legal authority as an individual and that decisions can be made only by a majority vote at a public board meeting. I shall abide by majority decisions of the board while retaining the right to seek changes in such decisions through ethical and constructive channels. As part of the Board of Education, I shall accept the responsibility for my role in the equitable and quality education of every student in the school district. I shall foster with the board extensive participation of the community, formulate goals, define outcomes, and set the course for Sycamore Community Unit School District 427. I shall assist in establishing a structure and an environment designed to ensure all students have the opportunity to attain their maximum potential through a sound organizational framework. I shall strive to ensure a continuous assessment of the student achievement and all conditions affecting the education of our children in compliance with state law. I shall serve as an educator's key advocate on behalf of the students and our community school to advance the vision of Community Unit School District 427, and I shall strive to work together with the district superintendent to lead the school district towards fulfilling the vision the board has created, fostering excellence for every student in the areas of academic skills, knowledge, citizenship, and personal development.
There's nothing like reading that in front of a crowd and when you're on camera.
I'm
so-
excited to see all four of us do it when the next round comes.
Absolutely. You guys are welcome now to take a seat with the rest of the board.
Thank you.
This is my favorite part of the reorganization meeting, because we elect officers, and then I can hand things back over to one of the board members. So at this time, I'd like to take nominations. We'll start with the president. I'd like to take nominations for the office of president of the Board of Education.
I'd like to nominate Jim Dombeck for president of the Board of Education.
Who's second?
I don't need a second, just any other nominations. If there are no other nominations, I would be open to one of the board members asking to close nominations.
Can we close nominations?
That's what I like to hear. And at this time, I'd ask for a vote on Jim Dombeck as president of the Sycamore Board of Education. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. My pleasure to turn the meeting back over to Mr. Dombeck as the recently elected president of the Board of Education.
Well, thank you very much. I hope I can live up to the requirements of the office and fulfill those to the best of my ability and to the best of your hopes for that position. So, at this time, though, nominations are now in order for the office of vice president. Are there nominations for the office of vice president?
I'd like to nominate Michael DeVito for the office of vice president.
I'll second it.
Michael DeVito is nominated for the office of vice president. Are there any other nominations for the office of vice president? Hearing no further nominations, the nominations for the office of vice president are closed. Michael DeVito being the only candidate for the office of vice president, the chair hereby declares you elected by acclamation and directs the secretary to so record in the minutes. At this point in time, then, nominations would be in order for the office of secretary.
Nominate Eric Jones. You can nominate him when he's not here, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Does anybody know if he wants
I
it?
have no idea. I have no idea. Somebody
Yeah,
nominate
find
somebody
out.
else. Jeez. You can record the minutes incorrectly if you'd like.
Okay.
I don't think Eric's going to oppose that unless anybody else feels differently.
No, I doubt he would. Eric Jones is nominated then for the office of secretary. Are there any other nominations for the office of secretary? Okay, hearing no other nominations, the nominations for the office of secretary are closed. And Eric Jones being the only candidate nominated for the office of secretary, the chair hereby declares him elected and elected by acclamation and directs the secretary to so record in the minutes of the meeting. Okay, well, that's that part out of the way. The next item then for us is to establish our regular meeting dates and places. And I know that you had some suggestions for us that you at least wanted to talk to us about.
I emailed Jim earlier in the week just a couple of ideas, and ultimately, the meeting is the board's meeting. It's, you know, we, myself and Nick and Nicole are here to assist and facilitate with that, but ultimately this is the board's decision, and we only get to do this once a year. every spring. So it's an opportunity to just kind of consider any changes that the board would like to make. And this is ultimately up to you guys. Some of the things that I suggested to Jim were adding a couple of town hall meetings. You know, working those in. There are 4 board admin retreats. Maybe 2 of those continue to be board admin retreats. Maybe 2 of those become town hall meetings. That's something that the board could consider. I think that the email also included tours of the building. You know, we move around to the elementary schools, the high school, the middle school. Jim pointed out, which I totally agree, that if we organize those tours, should be actually part of the meeting. The meeting can start at 6:30 with the tour and then reconvene in a central location for the business portion. We could start at 7 with the tour and reconvene afterwards. We could schedule those regularly every time we can, you know, hold meetings at other buildings. Ultimately, those things are up to the board. So those, I think, there's a couple of things that I included in the email.
Yeah, I think that really encapsulates what was in there, so.
Yeah.
I don't know what people think about any of those ideas.
I think if we're going to schools anyways, I think if throwing a guided tour through the school or something that, you know, principal wants to highlight or something like that, I think that'd be a great addition to that meeting. That'd be fantastic. I mean, a lot of times we're going to the school, but we just enter in the building and leave. So I think that'd be a great addition to the meeting, for sure.
I'd love to see the school, see what students, well, yes, students won't be there, but at least get highlights of what's been occurring. I think that would be beneficial.
Would you want to start earlier then to accommodate the tour, like 6:30? Do a tour before the meeting and then start the meeting at approximately 7? Sure. For the business portion.
Yeah.
I'm just going to throw this out from just a scheduling and a routine standpoint. If I'm in your shoes, we'll be there anyway. Keeping it straight that we're starting at 6:30 one meeting, at 7 at another can be a little confusing.
Yeah, no, I didn't mean to separate out the times. I just meant I was approximating
Gotcha.
the time of the tour.
Gotcha. Okay. Sounds good.
I mean, once we start it, we start it.
Yeah.
And then we go.
Yeah.
So the tour would be separate from the meeting, or would we want to do it at 7 and then include the tour, like as you mentioned earlier, in the meeting?
Well, I think we were thinking we start at like 6:30 for the tour.
Okay.
And then we should be done in time to start the meeting at the regular
gotcha.
time.
Okay.
I'm certainly not opposed to it.
Okay. I'll work with the principals to make sure that we're prepared for that. Do tours at 6:30 and then be on schedule to start the rest of the business at 7. Dates and times, still good, 2nd and 4th. For a couple months that we only do one, I think it's March, June, December, July. Just go with corresponding dates for all of those as well as the board admin retreat.
I think that's the pattern we've had for many years, so I think that it's worked. If we need an extra meeting, we can slip it in on a month where we don't have one meeting. So, and sometimes that's necessary.
Yeah.
Will this be for every meeting then that's on the schedule, 6:30?
Just the meetings where we're at another building.
Oh, okay.
So if we go to North, for example.
So once a month we go to another building.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Could be the red ones.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so we'll add that to the calendar, corresponding dates, and send that out to so you guys all have a copy of the final version, but we'll also post that publicly too.
town hall.
Yeah, is there any interest in town hall meetings?
I think think, just so I understand, so we're clear on the town hall structure, my understanding of the town hall is a two-way dialogue between board and constituents about not, non-agenda related items, like these would be items that could be spur-of-the-moment items.
Concerns.
Mhm.
Concerns.
I think that's very good that constituents can bring forth concerns and get to know us better and feel that they can bring their concerns to us.
When I've been part of that in the past, what we've done is work to try to gather some of that. So it's not, so it's kind of organized, there's some structure to it. And sometimes some folks show up a little bit late, they may have missed a question earlier, just trying to gather that so it's kind of orderly. We could include a presentation on a specific topic if it makes sense. Could also just as easily no agenda, no presentation, and just kind of shoot for that two-way dialogue that you mentioned.
I think just if we are going to do the town hall, I would just be concerned that we have a really firm time limit.
Yeah.
Unlike our traditional meetings that will go whatever it takes, I think the town hall meetings, I think just the nature of them, I think requires a really rigid time frame for the meeting. And then the other piece to that would be, I think, if we're going to do the town hall meetings, I think information about things that can and can't be spoken about, I think need to be abundantly clear, so there isn't any issues.
Excuse me, typically, if it's a matter that involves, the operation of the school district, my experience as a superintendent, would normally respond to that, or may not have the information. Some of the questions we may not be able to anticipate. Still be my responsibility to follow up with anybody who brings up a subject that we're not, don't have the information in hand. Anything that really relates to the board, board president is the spokesperson for the board. Usually works pretty well if we try to organize it that way as well.
Yeah, we want to make sure that nobody makes any untoward comments about personnel.
Yes.
They can express concerns in a general fashion, but not name specific names.
Yeah.
Because there's two sides to every story, so we don't want just one side of the facts.
I think the upside to the town hall too, though, is it could definitely bring more involvement from the community and evident by the fact that there's basically an open seat we're appointing at some point. I think that may draw some interest from people because they'll now have an outlet to be concerned.
Is everybody okay? We have 4 board admin retreats a year. Everybody okay if kind of restructure those and 2 of those become town hall meetings, one in the fall, one in the spring, and 2 of those remain board admin retreats?
Sure. I'm saying 5 board admin retreats on the copy I got.
I think that one's got
separate?
2 June ones on there, one for this year and one for next year.
Oh, I see.
Is that right?
Oh, yeah, 13th and then
I think.
yeah, June 13th, 23, June 11th, 24.
Yeah, so there you go. So there's still just 4.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, we'll update that on the calendar as well, and then we can talk about those, as we get closer and be prepared for that. You guys all okay?
So is there a motion to approve the establishment of regular meeting dates as amended?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Recognition of retiring board members. We've kind of done that. So we'll just spread of record the fact that they've retired and that we show our deepest appreciation for their years of service on the board. And then we'll move to the Assistant Superintendent for Business Services report.
Thanks, Jim. Tonight I just have second readings for the board to vote on. This would be for our student fees and for our building use fees. So these were the proposed changes that we talked about at the board meeting in March. So there's no changes to that or no more information regarding that. So tonight I would just ask the board to go ahead and vote on those proposed changes for FY24.
Is there a motion to approve the student fees for fiscal year '24 as proposed?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second that.
We have to do a roll call because it's finance.
DeVito?
Yes.
Evans?
Yes.
Brados?
Yes.
Shiloh?
Yes.
Dombeck?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay.
And then building use fees, again, we didn't have any changes proposed for that, and so tonight would just be a final vote on those also.
Is there a motion to approve building use fees as proposed?
I motion.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Roll call?
Evans?
Yes.
Brados?
Yes.
Shiloh?
Yes.
DeVito?
Yes.
Dombeck?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Superintendent's report.
This will be brief also. Just put a slide together, and stand so I can see this just a little bit better, just to highlight some of the things we discussed at the board admin retreat last Tuesday at the high school. Really appreciative that Alex and Beth both came to that meeting as about to be seated board members at that time. We talked about some work that needs to be done at the high school and kind of some larger issues. So for you guys to be there was much appreciated. We'll prepare you as board members and helps the board continue to move forward. Purpose of that meeting was just strategic planning to finance the work that needs to be done at the high school. The estimate is approximately $70 million. That was part of a facility audit that was done in 2019. So it's a little bit out of date, and especially with the pandemic, change in pricing and things like that. As we work through this, we'll make sure that we get up-to-date figures. But that was the main focus of the meeting. Just a reminder that Jennifer, whose last name escapes me, Courier, thank you, was here from PMA. We have a long-standing relationship with PMA Financial. They've assisted with our school district for many years and helping us for this kind of this work. So it's great to have Jennifer there, and she's really familiar with our school district.
And they also work with many other school districts.
Yeah. I would say PMA is one of the, if not the, premier school finance institution or organization in the state of Illinois, for sure. So they're very reputable. Part of that discussion was kind of next steps, and board agreed to have the finance subcommittee be part of this kind of initial work and then report back to the board. So we'll move forward with that. Eric is part of the finance subcommittee, but so was Chris. So part of the reorganization is identifying who's going to serve on what committee. So as that finance subcommittee gets established, we'll get them involved in some conversation and some planning, and then bring that back to the full board for discussion. No action will be taken without the full board having the opportunity to hear that, have discussion, and then move forward together. One step in that process is kind of pausing a little bit longer. We have Alex and Beth who have joined the board, but we still have one vacancy. So wait until that vacancy is filled, finalize all the committee assignments, and then move forward with that work. So that will continue this spring, and then surely over the summer. I would hope that sometime over the summer, early fall, we can come back to the full board for further discussion. So I just had these bullet points highlighted. That was pretty much the gist of the meeting, but just wanted to revisit that. Any questions for me or any comments? That's all I've got.
It's all good?
Yeah.
Next item then would be open discussion, future agenda items.
I'm just curious, how do we go about appointing the seventh board member?
Well, that's
We have to
exactly
work
what
on
I
it.
was hoping we would talk about.
Yeah.
Typically in the past, what we've done is we've asked for individuals from the community who would be interested in filling the position to send a letter indicating their desire and their reasons for why they would be on the committee. And then we would go through those letters and schedule interviews and meet with potential board members and then make a selection.
Series of mental and physical challenges, of course.
Yeah, do we have a time frame for that? Is probably my question to add on. I'm fairly familiar with that process since that is how I originally.
Yeah, you passed all the mental tests.
So in terms of who can speak to this part of it, I can. Time frame wise, how does that work? Because I believe it was posted, wasn't it? Like, was there a posting or was there an email that went out or something? Or?
We haven't sent anything
Well,
to the community yet, but we've got an announcement drafted. So I'm just kind of making some notes here as we talk. By board policy, the board has 60 days to fill that vacancy. And I've already notified Amanda Christensen, notifying the regional superintendent as part of the requirement. So I already notified her, she's confirmed that. So I was hoping we'd have some discussion about this tonight too, but we could get the message, the announcement out tomorrow and start that process.
I think so. I think the sooner the better, I think.
For sure.
Yeah.
Since we only have 60 days, we got to get on it.
It'll go fast.
Because it does take, it takes time, especially once you start those interviews.
Would you like to schedule separate meeting, a special meeting to interview interested residents?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to try to get on it.
I guess my other question would be, is this person, can they be at large, or do they have to be from Portland or one of the other townships besides Sycamore, since Sycamore's maxed out? I think I filled the last Sycamore seat.
You have to fulfill the township requirement.
Okay. So I guess that's really confusing. I found that was confusing for myself,
Yes.
confusing for others. So specifying that just because we're on the Sycamore Board of Education, you can't live in Sycamore Township for this.
Right.
Explaining that in the announcement, I think would be important.
So I think that's a really good point. And part of the draft announcement addresses that and explaining that board policy in the school code limits no more than 3 members from one township, and that we have 3 members from Sycamore Township already. So part of the requirement will be that you have to live in any township but Sycamore. Yeah. We'll try to put that in. It's super confusing.
I know.
So we'll try to put that in as clear language as we can. Yeah. I'll work with Lauren Holt, our communications department, on that.
And if we could get that out even to the radio stations and to the newspaper.
Yeah.
I think that is a really interesting opportunity, especially in the wake of what we're about to talk about with the community, is I think the more promotion of this vacancy, I think will also help further our canvassing efforts for if we were to look at facilities improvement plans that involve the public too.
Yeah.
I think it's important the public sees that this is a vacant position.
Yeah.
I like the radio idea.
The last thing that applies to this position, and James may be familiar with this too, is that whoever the board appoints will serve for 2 years, and then would have to run for election again for
If they so desire.
if they so desired, for an unexpired, I believe the terminology is an unexpired term, so
Right.
that then there would be another 2-year term, so that the current structure of 4 members and 3 board seats being up for election at any given time, get back to that. I had a conversation with Pasha Sims at the county clerk's office today and kind of talked through that. So
I think the way it works is there would be the normal 4-year terms for those turning over normally in the 4-year period, and then a 2-year term that you are elected to
Yeah,
finish out the term.
yeah. That's exactly as you described it, yeah.
What does the process for the board's evaluation of these candidates look like? Because I understand we did a process like this for James. I didn't, and so maybe you can speak for James, but is it, you said a letter that would be mailed in, and then an interview, and then it just goes to a vote, or is that?
I think we had 2 interviews.
That's the part I wouldn't know, but
We narrowed it down.
yeah, I know I came in and everybody had questions. It was like an interview, essentially. So
Right.
all the board members were there. Superintendent Kathy was there at the time. But you met with multiple candidates, right?
Right.
So, no. But to narrow that down, Jim, was there a pool that got narrowed down at
Yeah,
a certain
that's
point?
what happened. We narrowed it down to like the top 3 or the top 2 finishers, and then we had another round of interviews just to be safe. Made our choices. Did okay.
Yes, we'll update the announcement. I'll work again with Lauren Holtz on that, communications, and get that out. We'll send it out to all the usual channels, social media, message to our community, but then we'll get it out on radio and newspaper as well. Last question about that. Went through all the board policies and exhibits. Kelly was a huge help with that. Should those be sent to School Board Association? Suggests that they're either sent to the president of the board, the secretary of the board, or to the superintendent's executive assistant.
That's where we usually have them sent.
Okay, we'll have those sent to the superintendent's executive assistant. Kelly will collect all those, and then we'll have them ready for you guys when the board's ready to move forward.
How does this limit the board's prudent decision-making on issues for the 60-day window? I mean, I suppose it doesn't have to, but are we gonna, is the general temperament to wait on large issues until this is filled, or? So I'm just curious to know how you guys feel about that.
Yeah, I mean, if you can put things off until that person's seated, I think you have a better.
Right, well, that's kind of what my thought is too, is you want their buy-in,
Right.
certainly not. But you also don't want to be idle, so.
Right, but if you've got a timeline or a deadline or something that you've got to, live up to, then you have to do that. So, but as much as possible, it's best to delay.
And it can be, do we have to wait the full 60-day window before appointing someone? Oh,
Just has to be done within 60 days.
Okay.
It can be done sooner, yeah.
okay. So we have a deadline before 60 days for applications, so maybe 30 days or 45, whatever, from the announcement, so there's time to review, or how?
I would suggest that, as long as the board's okay with this, I would suggest that we put it out for a couple of weeks. I don't know that I would wait 30 days, because
Right.
Yeah.
maybe.
Because you got to get all the interviews done and the appointing done
Yeah.
before the 60 days runs.
So
And believe me, it goes so fast.
yeah. So I would suggest no longer than 2 weeks for
Yeah.
that initial deadline, and then we can.
Yeah, folks should know pretty much if
Yeah.
they really, want to do the job.
Yeah. Then we'll work to identify a date for that. Probably try to identify 2 dates for the first round of interviews and then the second round. And kind of look at how that fits together with the established regular board meetings. Try to time that so that after the second round of interviews, there's a regular meeting soon after that, where the board can act, get the new board member seated, and try to make that transition as soon as possible.
Just another comment, not to dive into the weeds on this, but once there's a pool of candidates, with letter submissions that the board's reviewed, I assume then we'll host a public meeting where we'll decide how we're going to lessen that candidate pool, right? Or is that going to be an executive session?
I believe that's all got to be done in open session.
So then the criteria, is there already a standing criteria to use, or like a rubric or a basis to which a board member should decide whether or not they endorse the candidate? I just think about like Pumpkin Fest, when we come up with a theme contest winner, it's a it's a grueling process. But there's you pick your top 3, and I'd like, I'd hope if I were on the other side of that, James, in your case too, for sure, that there would be some reason or like a pointable standing structure to say this is why I felt this candidate was great, and I don't know if
and typically, I mean, that we would do that, and we'd have kind of a rating system. It's not that
it's not far off.
It's not that far off, yeah. Because you rank them, 1, 2, and 3.
Okay.
And then you put them up, put everybody up on the board and see where the numbers come out.
And their names are covered to protect their identity, I assume, or is the public able to see their names?
See, I think the rules have changed since the last time we did this. So I think now we have to do everything in public.
I'm pretty sure that's the case. I'll look through the notes and consult with our attorneys just to make sure we get this all right.
Sure.
Yeah, because I've been through this once before, but it was many years before too, and I know that things have changed. So
It's 5th grade dodgeball all over again.
What's that?
It's 5th grade dodgeball. It's awkward. You don't got names on the list. You don't want to make anybody feel bad, but you want to pick the best person.
Right.
So.
I'd say over the last 10 to 15 years, there's been a real push for more transparency and for more and more information to be public. There are still obviously some things that can be confidential and that are legally private and confidential. But there's been a real push to make things as open and public as possible. So we want to make sure that we get that right. So
yeah, we'll make sure we get that legally right. Yes. Yeah, you'll see it's not that much different from picking a team winner.
When do we do committee appointments then? Do we wait for that person to become seated?
I think so. I think we really should. Because that person may bring some particular expertise with them that warrants, it should be part of something that, so everything kind of gets delayed.
Yeah.
Because of,
So for some of the committees that, especially Steve was sitting on, like, we just don't have representation there, I guess, for the time being. I mean, it won't be obviously a long period of time, but.
yeah, the planning commission would be the big one, yeah. I don't know. We'll have to find out if the planning commission has an allowance for like a temporary representative or something. Maybe we could appoint somebody as a temporary if they have a meeting. Because it's important to have representation there for sure. Because you only sometimes get one shot at say so there. Sure.
I'll contact Michael Hall at the city and just see when the next planning and zoning committee meeting is, meeting is.
Mm-hmm.
And if there's a timeline there, if there's a time issue, then I'll get in touch with you, Jim, let you know, and we can work on.
Yeah, it could be there's no, if we're lucky, they won't have any meeting.
Yeah.
I think they're only quarterly, right? This time?
They used to be monthly, but then kind of growth slowed down and they just slowed down with it, so.
Didn't plan for that.
Anything else on on that.
Nothing, we're good.
Anything else for discussion or for future agenda items? That's a big item on the plate right away,
Yeah.
to start off with. So. Is there a motion to go into executive session for the consideration of matters related to the appointment, employment, or dismissal of personnel and imminent litigation?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, roll call.
Brothers,
Yes.
Shiloh,
Yes.
Vito,
Yes.
Evans,
Yes.
Dombeck,
Yes.
motion carried.
All right, we'll adjourn to executive session and then return to open session for. All right, we're back in open session. Is there a motion to approve the personnel report as presented? Is there a second?
Second that.
Moved and seconded.
DeVito?
Roll call.
DeVito,
Yes.
Evans,
Yes.
Broaddus,
Yes.
Shiloh,
Yes.
Dombeck,
Yes.
motion carried.
All right. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, we are adjourned.